You weren't born knowing how to be a man. None of us were. There's no secret book handed to you when you hit a certain age. No whisper in your ear that says, "No, you're ready." Most of us stumble, we guess, we copy, we pretend, and along the way, we collect wounds we're too proud to show and questions we're too afraid to ask. But let me tell you something no one probably ever said to you. Being a man isn't about what you own, how loud you speak, or how many people follow you. It's not about being tough all the time or swallowing your pain like it's poison. Being a man is about standing firm when it would be easier to run. It's about listening more than you talk. It's about building something that lasts longer than your ego. Do you remember the first time life punched you in the gut? Maybe it was your father walking out. Maybe it was losing someone you loved. Or maybe it was the quiet, dull ache of not feeling good enough. Those moments shape us. Not because they broke us, but because they forced us to choose. Do I hide? Or do I rise? A man rises. He rises even when no one's watching. Even when applause never comes. Even when his knees are shaking. You see, most people think being a man means never falling. They're wrong. It means getting back up when you do. It means failing, sometimes publicly, sometimes painfully, and still showing up the next day with your head up and your heart open. I once knew a man who worked 2 jobs, came home after midnight, and still found time to help his son with homework. He never complained, never asked for praise. His name will never be in the papers, but he's one of the strongest men I've ever known. Because being a man is about showing up every day, especially when it's hard. You want to be a man? Then start keeping your word. If you say you'll be somewhere, be there. If you make a promise, keep it. If you mess up, own it. Don't hide behind excuses or blame. Nothing kills trust faster than a man who won't take responsibility. And you know what else? A real man knows when to say, "I don't know," or "I need help," or "I was wrong." There's more strength in those words than in any shout or punch or boast. Too many men are walking around wearing masks. They smile on the outside, but inside, they're drowning. Trying to live up to a version of masculinity that's all performance and no peace. Pretending they're okay because that's what they think they're supposed to do. But pretending doesn't make you a man. Pretending makes you lonely. You want to know what makes you a man. Showing love to the people you care about. Being present. Being honest. Being patient when you want to explode. staying loyal when it would be easier to walk away, protecting those who can't protect themselves, and maybe most of all, being a man means building not just money, not just status, but character, legacy, something your kids or your community can stand on. You don't have to be rich to do that. You don't need a title or a suit or 100,000 followers. You just need to decide. Decide that from today on, you'll live with intention. That your actions will match your values. That your family, your friends, your future self can count on you. Because one day, you're going to look back. And when you do, the question won't be, did I impress people? It'll be, did I love well? Did I do what was right? Did I live in a way that made others stronger? A man builds people. A man uplifts. A man doesn't need to crush others to feel powerful. He knows that real strength is quiet, consistent, rooted, and yes, being a man means facing fear, not just the fear of danger, but the fear of failure, of rejection, of vulnerability. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the choice to keep going despite it. So, what will you do now? You've heard the voices. The ones that say you're not enough. The ones that told you you'd never be more than what your past says you are. Silence them. Stand up. Shoulders back. Eyes forward. Start now, not tomorrow. Not when it's convenient. Now. Choose discipline over comfort. Choose growth over pride. Choose purpose over popularity. Be a man who forgives, but doesn't forget the lesson. Who leads without shouting. Who respects without needing agreement. Who earns trust instead of demanding it. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to begin. Because somewhere out there, a younger version of you is watching, waiting, hoping that someone shows him what being a man really means. Show him. Being a man is about showing up every day. Not when it's easy. Not when everything is going your way. But especially when you're tired. When you're doubting yourself. When you feel like no one sees your effort. It's about walking into the storm with your head held high even when everything in you says run. Because the truth is, most people can perform when the lights are on, when the applause is loud, when the reward is clear. But a real man shows up in the silence, in the ordinary, in the struggle, and gives it his all anyway. Think of the father who wakes up at 5 a.m. Not because he loves the job he's going to, but because he loves the people he's working for. He pours coffee into a cracked mug, laces up worn-out boots, and steps into another 10-hour shift with sore knees and silent prayers. He doesn't complain. Because showing up isn't a favor. It's a responsibility. Every day he walks through that door, he's teaching his children what commitment looks like, what love really means, without saying a word. Or the young man who's building his dream from scratch, who's tired of hearing no, are tired of seeing others succeed faster, but he still opens his laptop, still sends out that application, still trains, still studies, still sharpens himself. He doesn't skip the hard days. He embraces them. Because he knows dreams aren't built on motivation. They're built on discipline. And discipline means showing up even when the fire's gone cold. There's something sacred about the man who shows up, not for recognition, not for validation, but because he made a promise to himself. A promise to be better than who he was yesterday. And he honors that promise in the smallest of ways. When he chooses to walk away from a fight he could have won. When he apologizes first even though his pride burns. When he holds the line at work, at home, in life. Not because anyone's watching, but because that's who he is now. Every time you show up, you're sending a message to your future self. I won't give up on you. And that kind of consistency, it changes families. It rewrites stories. It makes boys into men. Character matters more than performance. Anyone can put on a show for a while. Anyone can smile when they want something. Pretend to care when eyes are watching. Deliver results when it benefits them. But character shows up when there's nothing to gain. When no one's looking. When doing the right thing costs you comfort, applause, or even your position. That's when who you are really speaks. Look around in life. At the workplace, on the streets, in families. You'll see people who perform like champions in meetings, but talk behind backs when the doors close. You'll see people who impress on paper, but fold when pressure comes. Because performance is easy to fake. Character is not. Performance may get you the job, but character decides how long you keep it. Performance may attract a partner, but character is what builds trust. Performance might earn claps for a moment, but character earns respect for a lifetime. Imagine a man who works in a store, barely earning enough, but still makes sure every customer gets kindness and honesty. He could take shortcuts, sell broken things, lie to make a sale, but he doesn't. Not because someone's watching, but because his conscience is louder than any applause. That's character. Or the athlete who trains hard and wins medals, but it's not his talent people remember. It's how he treats his competitors. how he picks up someone who's fallen, how he admits when he's wrong, even in front of millions. That's not performance. That's who he is at his core. Character is in the man who keeps showing up for his kids, even when the marriage is broken. It's in the boy who stands up for someone being bullied, knowing he might be targeted next. It's in the worker who owns a mistake instead of covering it up and blaming someone else. These aren't big, flashy moments. They won't go viral, but they build something stronger than image. They build identity. People may admire your talents, your money, your style, but they remember how you made them feel. They remember whether you were fair, whether you were kind, whether you were someone they could trust when things went wrong. Performance might open doors, but character decides who walks through them with dignity and who gets exposed when the spotlight fades, when emotional courage is strength. Not the kind of strength that breaks bones or wins fights, but the kind that faces the storm inside and refuses to run. It takes strength to hold back tears when the world tells you men shouldn't cry. It takes more power to say, "I'm hurting," than to clench your jaw and pretend you're fine. Anyone can raise their voice, but it takes a real man to lower it in anger. Anyone can walk away, but it takes courage to stay and talk through pain. That makes your voice shake. Think about the man who sits in silence at night because he doesn't want to burden his family with his stress. He's exhausted, overwhelmed, maybe even scared. But instead of numbing it with distractions or bottling it up until it explodes, he opens up to someone he trusts. He says the words most men never say. "I don't have all the answers. I'm trying." That's not weakness. That's bravery. That's someone stepping into the fire of honesty, because he knows healing begins where pretending ends. Or imagine the young guy in a group of friends where every conversation is coded in sarcasm, ego, and bravado. But one day, one of them breaks, admits he's depressed, says he's not okay. Everyone goes quiet. It's awkward. Then this young man speaks up, not to judge, not to deflect with jokes, but to say, "I've been there too." In that moment, he's the strongest person in the room, because he chose connection over comfort, empathy over ego. Emotional courage is calling your father after years of silence, even if you don't know what to say. It's looking your partner in the eye and apologizing. Not because you're defeated, but because peace means more than pride. It's facing grief, disappointment, failure. And instead of running from them, standing your ground and saying, You won't define me. Most people think real men bury emotion. But buried emotions don't die. They grow heavier. They harden the heart. They steal joy, ruin relationships, poison success. A man who is brave enough to feel is a man strong enough to lead. Because you cannot lead others if you cannot face your own truth. And there is nothing more powerful than a man who can be both a warrior and a healer, who can fight when necessary and still have the courage to be gentle when it matters most. There comes a moment in every man's life when he looks in the mirror and realizes that no one is coming to save him. Not his father, not society, not his friends, not luck. That moment is heavy, it's quiet. It's the kind of silence that makes your heart beat louder. But it's also the moment when something powerful awakens deep inside. The moment he understands that everything he's waiting for is already inside him. That he doesn't need permission to become more. He just needs a decision. You weren't born to blend in. You weren't born to play small. And you damn sure weren't born to be another man lost in excuses, drowning in distractions and hiding behind a mask. This world doesn't need more noise. It needs more men who are real, who are grounded, who are bold enough to walk into the fire and say, "If this is what it takes, then let it burn." You want to be a man? Then take the hits and keep standing. Be the last one to speak when others are shouting. Be the one who stays loyal when loyalty is no longer convenient. Be the man who builds when others destroy, because anyone can break things. Anyone can quit. Anyone can blame. But the man who keeps building himself in silence, who forgives even when he's been betrayed, who still believes in honor when the world glorifies shortcuts. He's the one who changes everything around him. A man doesn't need applause to do the right thing. He doesn't wait for perfect timing to act. He moves with purpose. He knows that courage isn't loud. It's consistent. It's waking up tired and still choosing discipline. It's being scared and still doing it anyway. It's standing up, not just for himself, but for those who can't stand on their own. That's power. That's masculinity. That's legacy. You want to win? Then stop negotiating with your weakness. Stop making peace with mediocrity. Stop living like you've got time to waste. You don't. Time is the most ruthless teacher. It doesn't give second chances. It just moves. Every second you spend waiting is a second you'll never get back. Every opportunity you delay out of fear becomes a memory you'll regret. Don't die with potential still inside you. Don't let your dreams rot in the soil of hesitation. You have to become the man your younger self needed. The man your future self will thank you for. The man who doesn't need to talk about what he's going to do, because his actions already speak. Greatness doesn't shout. It whispers. It shows up every day in quiet choices, in discipline, in sacrifice, in integrity. You were not born to be average. You were not born to live and die unnoticed. You were born to lead, to fight, to create, to heal, to rise. Even if no one believes in you, even if no one claps for you, even if you've failed 1,000 times, stand up again, again, again. Because a real man doesn't wait for life to be easy. He becomes stronger, and in doing so, he becomes unstoppable. Remember, the lion doesn't need to tell you it's a lion. Its presence speaks. Its silence roars. Become that man, silent, fierce, disciplined, unshaken. And when they ask you what happened, how you did it, just smile and say, I decided to become the man I was always meant to be.